She heard footsteps in the ward at 3 a.m. She was the only one scheduled to be there. Tonight, 3 true accounts from people who went to work like any normal night and found something waiting for them that they were never supposed to see. Sarah worked nights at a rural regional hospital in central Tennessee. She'd done the shift for 6 years, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 3 nights a week. She knew the sounds of that building the way you know the sounds of your own house. The hum of the elevator, the click of the medication dispensary, the way the linoleum floor in the east wing squeaked near room 14. She liked nights. Fewer administrators, fewer visitors. Just her, one other nurse on a different floor, and the patients. On the night of the incident, her co-worker had called in sick. She was the only nurse on the entire floor. That was not unusual. It happened a few times a year. She'd been trained for it. What was unusual was the chart. Room 9 had been empty since Tuesday. She knew that. She'd processed the discharge herself. But at 2:47 a.m., the room's call light activated. She told herself it was a malfunction. She'd seen that before. She walked the east corridor anyway. The call light was off by the time she reached it. The room was dark. She pushed the door open. The bed had been slept in. Not recently, but the pillow was dented, the sheet pulled back on one side. The way a person leaves a bed when they get up in a hurry. The room had been cleaned after the last patient. She had watched the orderly do it herself. According to the incident report filed with hospital administration and later reviewed in an OSHA workplace safety audit, a 44-year-old man had entered the facility through an unsecured service entrance earlier that evening. He had been discharged from the psychiatric unit on the 3rd floor 3 days prior. He had nowhere to go. He had been living in the hospital, using empty rooms, unused bathrooms, the staff break room when it was empty. Security located him in the basement laundry facility at 4:15 a.m. when Sarah called it in. The unsecured entrance was bolted shut the following week. Sarah requested a transfer to day shifts. She said in a post shared to a nursing forum, "I wasn't afraid of him. He was sick and alone. What I couldn't get past was how long he had been there, and how many of us had walked past that room without knowing. He had been in the building for 11 days. Marcus had worked the overnight at the same gas station for 3 years. The station sat at a junction on Route 9 in rural Georgia, 20 miles from the nearest town. He was used to quiet. He was used to 1 or 2 trucks an hour, a handful of locals coming in for cigarettes or coffee, and then hours of nothing. He had a routine: check the pumps at midnight, restock the cooler at 2 a.m., make a fresh pot of coffee at 4 a.m., whether he needed it or not, just to have something to do. He said it was the only shift where he ever felt like the world had stopped. On a Thursday in February, a car pulled into the lot at 1:18 a.m. and stopped at pump 3. The driver did not get out. Marcus watched through the window. He could see the interior light was off. The windows were fogged from inside. He waited 3 minutes, then 5. Nothing. He picked up the phone to call it in, thought about it, put it down. He told himself someone had just pulled over to sleep. At 1:34 a.m., the car's horn sounded, one long, flat tone. Then silence. Marcus walked to the door, The horn had stopped. The driver's window was down now. A hand was resting on the door, fingers curled downward, not moving. According to the county sheriff's incident report, the driver, a 61-year-old man traveling alone, had suffered a cardiac event at the wheel. He had lost consciousness and his hand had fallen against the door panel. He was still alive when paramedics arrived. He was in critical condition and transported to hospital. He survived. The horn had been the weight of his arm. Marcus was interviewed by local news the following week. He said, "I nearly talked myself out of doing anything. I almost just watched that car sit there until my shift ended." The man's daughter later called the station to thank him. Marcus still works nights. He said he checks every parked car now, every single one. Joel was a contract security guard assigned to an 8th-floor commercial office building in downtown Cincinnati. The building had maybe 200 employees during the day. At night, it had Joel. His job was simple. Sign in at 10 p.m., walk each floor once per hour, check all external doors are locked, monitor the desk cameras, sign out at 6 a.m. He had done it 5 nights a week for 2 years. He knew every corner of that building. The server room on 4 that always smelled like hot plastic. The break room on 6, where someone had left a motivational poster crooked on the wall, and no one had ever fixed it. He had never seen anything in that building that could not be explained. At 2:09 a.m. on a Wednesday, the camera on the 7th floor showed a figure in the hallway. Not staff, not a cleaning crew. They finished at midnight. Joel rewound the feed. The figure had been standing in the same position for 11 minutes before he noticed. Just standing, facing the wall, not moving. Joel called his supervisor. No answer. He called building management's emergency line. He got an automated system. He looked at the feed again. The figure had turned. It was facing the camera now. Joel took the elevator to 7. The hallway was empty. He checked every office, every bathroom, every stairwell exit. Nothing. He came back down, sat at the desk, looked at the camera feed. The figure was back, same spot, facing the wall again. According to the incident log filed by Joel and later reviewed during a building liability assessment, the figure was identified the following morning as a 38-year-old employee who had been working late and fallen asleep at his desk on the 7th floor. The man had woken disoriented at around 2 a.m. and stood in the hallway for several minutes before realizing where he was. He then returned to his office and slept until 6 a.m., unaware he had been seen. He was the only registered person in the building. His badge entry had been logged when he arrived at 11 p.m., but Joel had not been shown how to access the building's entry log system. That training had never taken place. The building's security onboarding protocol was updated 2 weeks later. Joel finished out his contract. He did not renew it. He said in a forum post later, "It wasn't even the figure that got me. It was realizing how much I didn't know about my own job, about the building, about who was supposed to be there. If that man had needed help, if something had happened to him on that floor, I would have had no way of knowing." 3 ordinary nights. 3 people just doing their jobs. Think about that the next time you are alone in a building after midnight. If this reached you, subscribe. New true accounts every week. And if you want the full investigative deep dives, the cases that go deeper than a single night, those are on this channel in the True Crime series. The link is below. Stay safe out there.